I think there must be something in the physiology of a man that when you got a woman cooking for you and you're sort of done the hunt for a mate, then your body goes to flap.
I don't have to look good anymore. Just drop it all out. Yeah.
What's that? What did Tyler say?
Said you trade one 6-pack for another.
You got your brother with you?
Yeah, got the clown.
The clown. He doesn't mind being called the clown.
Yeah, he's always liked the Joker, so he's perfect for it.
Man, that last video where you guys were going at each other and he was talking about panties and stuff, I was a little embarrassed for him.
He brought it on to himself.
Yeah, I suppose. Now, right across the street, we have a Canadian Legion. That's like a Armed Forces Veterans building where they have parties and stuff. And some old guy is mowing the grass. And it's so loud. So I'm hoping he's going to be done soon. And then
we can stop.
Then you can hear me a bit better. I don't know if you can hear that lawnmower going.
I can hear it a little bit, but it's not too bad.
What's your brother's name again? Ryan?
Tyler.
Tyler. Hi, Tyler.
Hello.
Now, see, you got a bandsaw back there. What is that, a stove? The pipe at the back of it? Or is that a...
Yeah, it's a rigged, or not rigged, but homemade wood stove.
Oh, neat. This is where you make furniture and stuff?
We don't make furniture, but we do more of your bowls, cups, pipes, jewelry, all kinds of things. But no furniture yet, but we would like to eventually.
Oh, I thought I'd heard that in one of the videos with Parsimonious Piper or something, that you were making furniture. I must have misunderstood.
I think he asked if I made furniture, and I told him no. We would like to, especially since our grandfather used to make furniture in his shop.
Right. So is this the same shop your grandfather used?
No, this is my father's barn that my brother and I converted to a shop.
Nice.
Or in the middle of converting, anyway.
Great. What kind of tools do you have? You have a lathe. You have a bandsaw.
I have a machine lathe that I haven't got running yet. I have a wood lathe, table saw, bandsaw, a router, and joiner and planer. Couldn't remember the name of it. And a planer.
I'd like to have a joiner and planer. That's one of the things missing from my shop still. I've got a wood lathe, a bandsaw. I've got a little machine lathe. It's a little tiny thing like this. Metal lathe. It's a little thing like this.
Like the ones that are this big.
Yeah, and you can it's got this sort of three-dimensional machining ability. I forget what you call that. Like, you can make stuff with it, but it's missing belts and it's missing all kinds of stuff. It's from the 70s, and apparently they're quite valuable. My dad gave it to me, but
nice.
Missing stuff. So I haven't gone anywhere with it. I have most of the same things you have. I don't have a router table, but I've got a router, and I've got a jigsaw, like a benchtop jigsaw, which I never use. Belt sander on a stand, disc sander.
I need. All I have is like the little 1-inch belt sander.
Oh, I got
one. Belt sanders.
Yeah, I've got a 1-inch too. The belt broke yesterday, so. Oh, but I had an extra, so I put that on. Yeah, sounds like we have a similar kind of shop. How long have you been making? What's that?
What? Oh, I said all I want now is a drum sander. That would save a lot of time and work.
You mean the little reciprocating ones that go up and down like this?
One of those, but no, the actual like drum sanders that kind of works like a planer, but it's with the sandpaper instead.
Oh, I don't think I know about those. I have a disc sander, and I think the one I'm talking about is a spindle sander, right? That goes up and down.
Yeah, spindle sander.
I don't have one of those. I don't know whether they're worth it.
I could see it work like if you're doing a lot of round work.
There's a lot of projects I work.
Yeah, like it would be useful for us, but like it's great for like rounding kind of work.
Right. Or if you're doing a lot of scroll work, like in the back of a chair or something, and you want to get into those little spaces.
Because they
made that swing back there, and I can't really sand inside the scroll work. It's like a porch swing, right? So, but I like working with wood, but I'm just an amateur. I don't really know what I'm doing.
Well, I think that's pretty much most of us woodworkers until you get to that certain.
We've only been doing this for a few years.
Yeah. I mean, I just kind of piddled around with it for all my life, and then just the past 2 years, I actually got heavily into woodwork. So I just say I'm a lucky amateur because half the stuff I came out with have been good, but then you also have a lot of very expensive mistakes you make too.
Tell me about that. Oh man, that's the most frustrating thing. I was so excited about this pipe I made recently. I finally bought some leather dyes and got multiple colors to this pipe. It looked beautiful. And the next morning I looked at it. I was going to give it away for free on YouTube to a subscriber. And then the next morning I looked at it, and the stem was just a little loose in the shank, just a little loose. And I thought, I'm going to just warm that up, make it a bit bigger, and then push, so that it fits in nicer. So I did, and then it was a little too tight. So I sanded it a little bit more, press it in, and then the shank broke. And I'm like,
oh no, because I saw that pipe. It was a cool looking pipe.
Thanks. Well, I glued it up, and I decided that's just a shop pipe now. It's the stem doesn't come out, but it looks great. So
yeah,
so frustrating. And it wasn't just that the shank broke; the stem also broke off on the mortise and tenon.
Oh, that sucks.
I know.
Man, you must have had that really tight in there. Next time, if it loosens up a little bit on you, like if it's tight when you first get it in there, but then it loosens up, just a little bit of water, just because maybe the wood.
Yeah, and that's what I usually do. I just wanted this thing to be perfect, Yeah. And I was just part of the problem with the way I do woodworking is I'm a little bit like, I'm not subtle enough. I don't take little incremental improvements. I'm like whack it with a hammer kind of a guy, and that's metaphorically speaking. You know what I mean? And if I was a little bit more careful and patient instead of trying to get it to fit to work right away, then it would be better. But I'll just give it a little harder push. Crack. Oh, why did I give it a little harder push? So frustrating.
Plenty of impatient woodworks to where you spend hours on something and then you screw the entire project up. Patience is definitely a virtue because it's like one of those things. You try to find something to make the work faster because you're impatient because you don't want to do it the right way. So, you got to learn how to increase production, but then you try the, shortcut, if you will, and you just screw up all your hours of work. And it's like, gosh, dang it, why did I do that?
That's totally me. It's totally me. So, sometime I'll have to make a journey down and get a tour of your workshop. I want to really go on a bit of a tour and visit some of these pipe smokers. I can never make it to these pipe shows because I live in Canada. It's just too friggin' far. But I've thought about going on a bit of a 1 month vacation, taking my wife down and maybe singing in some churches with my scripture music. And then if some of the pipers that I know live in that city I'm visiting, then I could say, hey, let's go out for a bite to eat somewhere and get to know each other.
That'd be pretty cool.
I hope that I can do that.
I mean, at first I would prefer this shop to not look like what it looks like right now. Well,
we can always just meet in a restaurant too. I don't have to have a tour of your place.
Well, we're hoping this year to completely redo it. Hoping.
What are you smoking today?
Second breakfast. It's a vanilla maple aromatic from the Country Squire.
Nice.
Based on the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, I like the name. Second breakfast. Oh man, I would like to have second breakfasts most days, but I've been trying to lose weight, so I've lost 24 pounds or something now, so getting there.
Yeah, I can't keep weight. I can eat, and I can't gain any weight.
That was me until I got married. You're not married yet, I guess.
No.
I think there must be something in the physiology of a man that when you got a woman cooking for you and you're sort of done the hunt for a mate, then your body goes to flap.
I don't have to look good anymore. You drop it all out. Yeah.
What's that? What did Tyler say?
Said you trade one 6-pack for another.
Tyler, do you mind that he calls you clown?
No, it doesn't bother me.
Oh, we're brutal with each other.
What worse than that off camera?
Oh yeah.
Oh my goodness, I was a little embarrassed watching that video with you and Hunter the other day. I have to admit that I was so embarrassed that I stopped watching about 3/4 of the way through. I'm like, oh, I don't think I can take this anymore. Poor Tyler.
Oh no, we grew up with an older brother, and he taught us I don't know how y'all do it in Canada, but Americans, we're typically, the way that brothers and friends treat each other is, we're basically assholes to each other all the time. That's how we show our love. It's just smart aleck and just not like mean to be mean, but I don't know. It's just the way we all are. We're just all.
Yeah, it's a way to say I love you. It's like, you dork. You suck. I get it. Yeah, we're a little bit that way here too. Well, I think people are people wherever you go. I'm sure they're like that in Taiwan or someplace, So
yeah,
it's just people.
Yeah, we're worse off camera.
Oh yeah.
And you have 3 brothers. You have 2 brothers. You yourself and 2 others.
No, we did have our older brother, but he passed away just last year.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is that what the pipe was for? That native style pipe?
Yeah, that was a pipe I made for him about 5 years ago or so.
Oh, so you made it for him while he was still alive?
Yeah, he was still alive.
3 years ago.
No, it was 5 years ago. What? Maybe it was 4 years ago.
How did he die? I'm sorry if you already explained this in a video. I have a memory of it, but I don't really remember the details.
He was an electrician, and he was replacing light bulbs in the fixtures in a Sam's.
Yeah.
It was a Sam's, and the light fixture, I guess someone didn't wire it properly. So when he was putting, the ground wasn't wired properly.
The voltage was live going.
Yeah, live going through. He shouldn't have happened because he was just changing light bulbs, and he hit the wire in the fixture, and he got hit with 270, and it killed him.
Right on the spot?
Yeah.
How hard? Did he have a family?
He had a wife. Yeah, they were newlywed. Yeah, they were married basically, little under a year?
No, 2 years.
No, I think they were married under a year.
No, it was a year.
Yeah.
2019, they passed away last year.
Man,
it's hard. It ain't easy.
Yeah, the world is not a fair place, Sometimes you wonder, why is it like this? Wow. And your mom and your dad are still alive?
Yeah.
Yeah. Must have been hard for them losing a son. Can't imagine.
It's been really hard on our mother. She's still not coping with it too well.
Yeah, I bet. Do you know sisters in your family?
No, we have a sister.
Oh.
She's our youngest sibling. She's 22? Yeah, 22. And she just got married about a year ago.
Nice guy?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
her husband.
No, he's a cool guy.
He's a good guy.
I think I see some smoke coming up from over your right shoulder. Is Tyler smoking too?
Yep.
So how you liking it so far, Tyler?
Well, right now I'm just smoking one of my rolled cigarettes.
Yeah, he's not smoking my pipe. He's insulting me.
I rolled it with...
You made him a pipe, right?
Well, it was a pipe I was making to sell, but Tyler really liked it. And he said, you know what? Give me your price and I'll buy it off you. And I said, okay, well, I'll sell it to you cheap. So $50 for it. And he's like, okay, I can do $50.
Nice.
So right now I'm smoking Barbados Plantation.
Okay.
I'll just buy like the blank cigarette tubes
Yeah.
and then fill them with tobacco. So
Yeah.
kind of like a cigar almost.
Right.
You
You have your own little press for poking the tobacco in the tubes?
Yeah, it's just like it's a Powermatic.
Yeah, it's just a cheap.
It's just a little hand
$25.
Oh, I
press.
see.
I want to get an electric one because there's the ones you can buy. They just fill up with all the tubes, and you put tobacco in a chamber, and the machine fills them for you perfectly each time.
Wow.
But those are a few $100s.
Yeah.
Oh,
You just puff on them, right? Kind of like a cigar.
Yeah, you don't.
Don't.
It's like a cigar.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And why do you
I
like
don't
it better than pipes? Do you have a hard time keeping the pipe lit, or?
That's the problems he's having right now. And I'm trying to tell him, like, you got to keep up with it, buddy. You can't stop.
I don't have patience.
Well, that's why this teaches you patience. You know how much patience I learned from smoking a pipe?
Yeah, it's true. I think part of it is the paper in a cigarette helps wick the flame along. You know, it burns whether you're puffing on it or not. And so,
Yeah.
you know,
Kind of like a cigar with the outer cigar leaf kind of help keep it burned too.
yeah.
My favorite are like the little wood tip Black and Mild cigars, like the 79-cent ones you can get at the gas station.
Well, you better buy them up before they turn illegal. I know Canada, didn't y'all just pass all flavored tobacco is no longer legal in Canada?
Yeah.
I don't understand it. I don't get these countries, why these governments are so hell bent on attacking tobacco.
It's just going to create more crime.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like prohibition. They made alcohol illegal, and now America's organized crime because of that.
Yeah. I think it has in a lot of the countries that they make it illegal. What I understand the reason to be is that since the citizens are paying for social health care, so everyone has health care, kind of it becomes a cost to each citizen if somebody gets lung cancer, right?
Yeah.
So it's in the best interests of the community that we do things like make seatbelt laws, or we make helmet on motorcycle laws, or we make no smoking laws, and all these other things that can cause health issues. It does take away your freedom, but it also lowers like expenses of the average citizen in paying healthcare costs. That's my understanding. I don't really like it, but
Well, I mean, it's closer towards socialism, so yeah, I wouldn't like that.
Well, to be honest, all the food we eat nowadays.
Well, yeah, all the food we eat. I mean, good God, American food is worse for even tobacco. I can guarantee you that.
yeah.
It has so many chemicals in it.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing, isn't it? It's always we're always trying to save money so that we have more money for our pleasures. But then, as we do that, we're making ourselves sicker, so we're spending more money on our health.
Yeah, yeah.
And then the health is spending, you can spend tens to even a few $100,000 depending on the situation.
Yeah, American healthcare is.
I mean, cancer care here is like $100,000 for chemo.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. You got to basically chop off your leg and arm and say, all right, there's pay for my cancer.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's like, oh, by the way, hey, even if you pass away, your family's now in crippling debt.
Yeah.
Thank you, America Healthcare.
I just kind of look at it as just the way everything's going on. You know, you got air pollution, you got all the radiation we get from technology, all the plastics we eat out of the food we eat, even the water we drink today is not good for you. Food, vegetables, they put all types of crap on it. I'm like, you're going to get cancer from something. It's not if, it's when and what kind of cancer. So I'm like, I'm just going to enjoy my pleasures in life while I have them, as long as God lets me stay on this earth.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I kind of feel the same way. I think a lot of people live their lives to extend their lives. All they're thinking about is, how do I live as long as I can?
Yeah.
At the cost of thinking about, how can I live as good as I can, as full as I can, you know? So, like, what, you're going to add 5 years to your life, 10 years to your life? What is the maximum length of life? We're all only going to get about 80 years, 90 years maybe. For men, the average is like 75 or 80. So maybe if I don't get those last 5 years because I smoked a pipe, my family will be upset by that. But I don't know. It's easy to say as a young man, isn't it? Who knows how it's actually going to turn out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can live the next 20 years. That's how the world.
Yeah, how the world's going on. We'll be lucky if we live 20 years longer.
Yeah, true. So did you grow up as a Christian? Did you grow up in the church, or what's your story?
Yeah, we grew up Christian when we were younger. We kind of gone through all kinds of different churches. At first we were Baptist, then Pentecostal for a little bit, and now we're more non-denominational. Don't really go to church too much. I more of just read and study the Bible more than I do going to church. It's just hard to find a good church.
Oh yeah, totally. I get that. I've been the same way. We're currently just questioning whether we really want to go to the church we're going. You know, it's what is the purpose of church? It's to worship in a community. You know, it's really fulfilling to sing out with other believers, to hear the sound of voices raised. That's a beautiful thing. We also go to church for fellowship, to be, you know, to sharpen one another as iron sharpens iron. And that's an important part of going to church.
Well, it's supposed to be a place of healing. You know, it's basically supposed to be a spiritual hospital, but it turns into a courtroom. So,
what do you mean by that? That's interesting. Talk more about that.
Like, too many are too judgmental on your lifestyle, or they don't agree on your lifestyle. There's too many who are too judgmental. I think that's one reason I typically like the non-denominational churches, is they seem to be a lot less judgmental on your lifestyle. Say like Baptists are typically very anti-alcohol, even though the Bible's for alcohol, but it warns you about alcohol.
Right.
Or they're constantly hellfire, you do this, you're going to hell, you do this. You know, there's too much judgment. It's not, the church isn't supposed to be a place of judgment. It's supposed to be a place where the community comes together and you all lift each other up and, you know, basically spiritually heal yourself, instead of it just being, you're bad, fix yourself, because we're all sinners.
Right.
And you typically see, like, what is one of the biggest sins that you can do is judgment. And that's the biggest issue with a lot of Christians, is they're very judgmental, especially your older crowds.
Yeah. Interesting, isn't it? I think I've heard that the Baptists are more legalistic. We don't really have the same Baptist denominations as you have, I think. Like, there's the Southern Baptist, right? And there's another Baptist church that's big down in the States.
Southern Baptist, I can't remember what the other one is, but I think the one you're thinking of are the ones that are like really crazy. Okay.
Yeah. And it's like Jesus said, you know, he came for the sick, not for the healthy, right? It's like you say, the church is to be a hospital where people are welcomed and cared for, loved, supported. But there is also a sense that we are to encourage one another towards holy living and holy behavior. And I think part of the misunderstanding with churches is, what does that entail exactly?
Yeah.
Where the legalism gets in, you know? You start focusing on some minor issues, like maybe drinking or smoking, and ignore the more important issues like gossiping or lying, or, you know, disrespect of your parents, or I don't know. What are some other really significant issues? I know we tend to hold up the sexual sins as being the worst sins. And I'm not sure that's true.
Well, God says that all sins are equal.
Yeah, so. Yeah, that's true. It's all missing the mark, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can understand, like, maybe you tell someone, hey, maybe this isn't the best route for you, but do it in a kind way, you know, instead of being judgmental about it. Say, like, if you go against someone who's atheist or agnostic, or, you know, don't go, oh, you don't believe in Christ, you're going to hell, you know. Just be kind to them. Maybe tell them a little bit why you believe in God.
Yeah.
Which is why I study all the different sciences, because I'm a very spiritual and scientific person. so that I can study the Bible, study the science, put 2 and 2 together to kind of help those who are more non-religious and give them reasons to just at least think about it. And, if they don't accept it, then at least I tried,
Yeah, I love that. I try to do the very same thing. I love science. I love astronomy and biology and physics. And, I have no problem with scientific theories like evolution. And I like to try to see, how do these sciences all point to God? Someone told me when I was in Bible college as a kid, I talked to the bishop at the time, or maybe he was like the superintendent of our denomination. I can't quite remember what his role was. And I said, one of the things I struggle with Christianity is, that science says one thing is true and the church says another thing is true. And how do you decide between the two? And he looked me in the eye and he said, all truth is God's truth. And that was really profound. So if you think about that, as we discover things in nature around us, we're discovering aspects of God. The world he created, it shouldn't threaten us. If it threatens us, I think it's because our faith is built on a weak foundation. We're basing our faith on some superstitious understanding. I need to think more about it, but...
Without religion, you can't have science. Without science, it's hard to have religion. They coexist together. They don't have to be enemies. It's just one explains the spiritual side, the other explains the physical side.
Perfect way of saying it.
And God never says that, this stuff didn't happen. He doesn't give us a broad scheme on how everything was made. He just gives us a tiny amount just to give us an idea of how everything was put in place.
Yeah. Are your parents the same way? Do they also believe in science and?
For the most part, yeah. My mom's a little more old school on it. My dad's a little more open-minded to it. They don't really think about it a lot. Like, I'm just a very heavy thinking person. They just typically go more off of faith more than anything. But me, I'm one of those, I just find it interesting to study. And also, like I said, the more information the more you can help people in spiritual situations.
Right. Yeah, I completely agree with that. That's awesome. What about you, Tyler? What's your faith like?
Kind of more like that's probably the same with Hunter's. I just don't do as much studying as he does.
Right.
But yeah, I'm kind of the same way.
Now the old man is using the weed whacker, the whippersnipper. I forget what you call them in the States, but the string trimmers. Yeah. That's really loud. What's that?
We call them weed whackers.
Weed whackers, yeah. I hope he finishes soon. That's so annoying. I would have gone on my back porch to do this where you wouldn't hear as much, but my daughter has been homesick for a couple weeks. She has mono, and she just sleeps all the time. Right at the end, at grade 12, right near exams. Poor girl.
Wait, are they still in school in Canada? Most schools are out.
I don't know how Canadian schools work.
School's out there?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
We've already had all of our graduations and everything.
Oh, wow. Our school ends usually at the end of June. June 30th, June 28th, something like that.
Oh, so how long do y'all's summers last? Only 2 months then?
Yeah, summer is July and August. And you start up like this first week of September or something.
Our months are about
our
summer's about 3 months.
Yeah, close to 3 months. Well, probably 2.5 months now.
Wow.
Every day.
Is that because it gets so hot down there?
No, I don't know why they do it. All I know is as a kid, I loved it. It's like, summer vacation. I don't have to go to school for 3 months.
Right. 3 months. That would be awesome. Oh, my goodness. The universities usually get out and the colleges usually get out, I think, the end of May. But the public schools, the elementary and the high schools get out the end of June.
Oh. Yeah, ours is typically, our school at least, you'll have some schools that'll be 1 week or 2 weeks, but typically ours is like May 24th or something like that.
Yeah. Do you mind if I ask you about your blindness?
No, I don't mind at all.
So, were you born blind, or what is your story there?
Well, my brother and I were born 3 months premature.
Okay.
And
embryonic sac.
yeah, I kicked open the embryo. Hey, good thing I did. You wouldn't be here if I didn't.
Okay, that's a story I want to hear about too.
But anyway, we were born 3 months premature, and our lungs weren't fully developed. So the doctors had to put us in these, what do they call them? Incubation chambers?
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the scientific name for it.
It's an incubator.
Oh, okay. It's just to where basically we're on artificial air, just, to where until our lungs fully develop. Well, they're supposed to put 2 sets of eye drops in your eyes every single day to help release pressure behind the retinas.
Really?
Well, the doctor did not do that once with us, and basically too much pressure built up behind our eyes, and it damaged our retinas. So
Pretty much caused the blood vessels behind our retinas to expand from the amount of pressure.
yeah,
And those blood vessels explode and it caused tissue damage.
yeah.
Wow. And are you identical twins?
Paternal. I think you came 30 seconds before me, something like that. We almost look identical, but we're paternal.
Fraternal, you mean? Isn't it called fraternal?
Paternal, yeah, paternal.
Yeah. Cool. So, what is it like? Can you see a little bit? Is it just blurry? I see you sometimes getting really close. So you have some vision?
Yeah, I have pretty much kind of vision like y'all do. It's just I can't see as far, and it can be it's not as clear as y'all's vision. And and I only got one eye. This one's plastic.
Oh, really?
But, yeah. But kind of best way, like, kind of put your finger like this around your eye. That kind of roughly indicates kind of how, I can see a little wider than this, but this is a pretty good indication of how.
So it's like peripheral vision.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
Yeah. Tunnel vision kind of.
Right. That must be really challenging to do woodworking when your vision is inhibited like that.
Yeah, it can be frustrating sometimes.
Yeah.
Especially when you're trying to make marks or measurements or things like that.
Right.
That's typically the hardest.
So I can't wait to take those classes.
Yeah.
What did Tyler say?
He can't wait until he gets these. They have these new type of. I'll let you explain it because you.
So this is a company that uses augmented technology. Like they have these special glasses that they install special software on that's meant to help the visually impaired.
Okay.
And
The Campbell.
So pretty much the glasses use cameras to correct vision, but they also, you can zoom in like 10x. So you can zoom in on objects. They can read text to you.
Wow.
They do all kinds of cool stuff, but it connects to like your smartphone.
Wow.
Because the smartphone's a computer, it does most of the processing. Just so the glasses are small enough.
Mm-hmm.
Because they've had like VR headsets, but they're real big and bulky, and I would not want to be caught in public with one of those on.
Right.
So
Yeah, I was a little jealous on how everyone else sees because I put them on. It's like, I have never seen this clear in my life. Is this how you guys get to see all the time?
Wow.
It's
So it's kind of like Geordie LaForge.
kind of like what?
Geordie LaForge. Do you know who that is?
Mm-mm.
Well, I guess you're not a Star Trek fan. Star Trek: The Next Generation, there's a blind guy that wears this. It's actually like a hairbret in actuality, but it looks like this cool visor that he wears. It's silver, and it lets him see all different light spectrums, and he has actually way better vision than everybody else when he wears this device. I guess you're not a Star Trek fan.
It would be kind of similar to that, yeah.
That's really cool.
Hopefully, eventually they'll get to where they're that streamlined and thin. Right now, they're kind of bulky looking, but
The glasses, these ones are a lot better.
they're a lot better, but they're still
Most of the processing is done by your phone.
Yeah.
Right. Are they expensive?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. There's a reason
They're
why we
about
don't.
$3,000.
3,000?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We should put together a GoFundMe for you guys.
We're gonna be able to get them soon.
Yeah.
Cool. That'd
But
be
assistive technology for the blind has always been very
Stupid expensive because it's such a small market, supply demand type of thing. They got to charge more when you have a smaller market.
right.
In high school, we used these little. They were Braille computers. They were called Braille notes. Back in the day, they were called Braille notes. But one of those would set you back $6,000.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then you'd have to have a Braille embosser, which could cost about $6,000 additional, or even more.
If you wanted to put it on paper.
Like
Yeah.
printing out, but instead of printing,
Yeah.
embossing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Those things are loud too. Embossers, like they sound like machine guns going off.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm surprised we never got in trouble with that thing in the school because it sounds just like a.
They're loud.
Yeah, they're pretty loud machines.
Nowadays, you probably would.
Oh yeah.
I've heard of paper that actually can be, you can hook it up to electricity somehow, and the paper can get embossed on it somehow. I don't really know how it works, and this was years ago I heard of it, but for the blind, it would be like this temporary thing. You could connect the piece of paper to, or maybe it was a screen, and it actually becomes 3D, and it can change for the blind, so they could have like a visual, quote unquote, printout through their computer of what they're watching on the screen.
What if they use if it used kind of like what the Braille notes would with the Braille cells? You'd have like did it have like little pegs that would come up?
It's been years since I saw it. It might have been. Is that what the Braille notes was? Little pegs that came up?
Yeah, it was little pegs that were hooked up to little, like, I guess electronic pushers. When you type,
It would tell you
push
what
up,
you're.
and then when you type something else, they would change. And
Wow.
yeah. So it might have been kind of the same thing, but they might be closer together.
So you guys read Braille.
Yep.
I was thinking about Braille and your interest, your research, and all your reading into science and so on. So do you have a lot of Braille books on science, or how do you research this stuff?
I do more just on the phone, and then I'll zoom it in.
Yeah, we really don't have any Braille books. We mostly used Braille in high school.
I honestly hated learning Braille.
Oh, really?
I was very stubborn when it came to Braille.
I can understand that, right? It's just this little niche thing that kind of sets you apart from everybody else. Like, you probably would rather not be blind and not acknowledge it and just be able to learn how to read like everyone else and be more in the reading side of things. Is that right? Like, am I assuming things incorrectly?
A little bit, but also you're pretty much right on that. But it's also just kind of felt like sandpaper on my fingers.
Oh, so it kind of hurts.
Not really hurt, but just kind of irritating or annoying.
Yeah, that's fascinating.
Me, I actually liked learning Braille. I thought it was cool. I gotta have like a secret language no one else could learn.
That's what I was just gonna ask. Is it sort of like a secret language? When I was,
yeah.
Because what's cool with Braille is,
sorry, go ahead, Tyler. I didn't hear that.
what's cool with Braille is it's unified around the world. So I could be in any country and go read Braille, and it's the same here.
Yeah, technically, we can read every single language in the world. Technically.
I mean, we probably still won't understand it because of the wording, but the print's all the same.
Yeah.
So a letter represents a letter, like a shape represents the same letter in whatever language.
Yeah.
What about Cyrillic alphabets?
That I'm not sure.
Greek and Russian and so on.
I would assume that all of it's just just the same around the world, which I guess would be technically what it was actually invented in France.
Really?
I think Braille was invented in France in the early 19th century, I believe. I have to look it up again. So it's pretty much a uniformal language, if you will.
It's probably going to be spelled different, but the actual fundamentals of Braille are the same.
Yeah, not sure.
Like an R would still be an R.
Yeah.
Right. They'd say bonjour instead of hello, but they still spell it with the same letters.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, cool. When I was in college, I was interested in secret languages and knowing, making up my own language. I didn't want my roommate to read my journal, so I made up my own little language and strange characters. And so I get that whole being interested in having your own language. I also learned how to write in cursive, but mirror cursive, so you can only read it in a mirror for the same reason. I love that stuff.
Oh, I could not imagine trying to write it backwards.
It's kind of fun. I learned sign language in college too for the same reason. It's kind of neat to know something that nobody else knows,
Yeah.
I don't really get to use the sign language very much. I don't know really any deaf people now.
It's still good to know, just in case you do know.
Yeah, I was surprised. We went to Ireland back in 95, my wife and I, and we were in some pub somewhere, and there was a bunch of deaf guys just going at it. And I thought, I'm going to go over and see if I can talk to them. And so they used all different hand signals. So every country doesn't have its own sign language. You'd think English is English wherever you go. Now they can understand me better than I can understand them because probably they're exposed to the other accents or dialects, however you want to put it. And a lot of the signs they're connected to the real thing in some way. Like, for example, if you're saying everybody or all, you'd go like that, right? So so things like that, or boy, is sort of the ball cap, girl is the bonnet strap. So you have a lot of sort of similar,
but not all one national.
But it's not all the same everywhere. No, it was neat though.
That'd be kind of confusing. I'm surprised they didn't make it a national.
I don't know why that is. Yeah, I should look into that. That's a curious topic. Why isn't sign language international? So they call it ASL, which is American Sign Language, but I think there's also a Canadian Sign Language. I don't know it, but I could be wrong. But I know there's an Irish Sign Language. You guys ever do any? Sorry?
I was just going to say it's probably over PG-13.
Where's my drink?
Have you guys done any traveling?
Yeah, we've actually been to Ireland, Wales, England, and Scotland. Those are the only countries we've been outside the U.S., but for our senior trip, we went to Ireland for 7 days, Wales for 3 days, Scotland and England for... Scotland, we were there for 2 days, and then England, we were there for 1 day.
This was grade 12?
Yes.
Our high school at the end for seniors, they have trips around the world. Like some years they do like what we did, or some years they go to Australia.
Wow.
Some other country. And it's a package you pay for, but it's plane tickets. I think our trips cost like $3,000 a piece.
No, it's like $5,800 a piece, which is stupid cheap considering you're going to that's 4 different countries. It pays for your flight. It pays for 2 meals a day in your hotel and all that. It pays
for breakfast and dinner. Lunch you got to do yourself.
Yeah, lunch you have to do yourself. But I ain't passing that over.
Yeah, totally. But think about that for parents who have 2 boys in the same grade. $12,000 right now, please. So that's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And that's not 12,000 Canadian. That's 12,000 US, which would be what? 200,000 Canadian? No, just joking. But
I wouldn't doubt it though.
It's amazing. Our dollar is always about 75 cents to 80 cents to your dollar.
I thought y'all's dollar was worth more than ours.
No, our dollar is worth less.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you guys are sort of the standard for the whole world as far as the currency standard, I think. Pretty much worth more.
Pretty much, other than England. I think our U.S. dollar was 65 cents over there, so we had to pay a lot more in England.
Yeah.
And then the euro was like 86 cents or something like that to the U.S. dollar. So that one wasn't too bad, but England, you're almost paying, say if it's $5, you're paying $8 for something.
Yeah. That's
exchange.
No.
What did Tyler say?
I said England's currency exchange, because we had to, exchange a lot of our money for each country we went to. And we lost like $200 of just currency exchange to England's money.
Yeah.
At the time.
It's like, dang it. That was $200 on souvenirs.
Yeah. Welcome to what it's like as a Canadian. It's the same thing here. Every time you take money down to the States, you think, really?
Yeah.
But things are also a little less expensive down there, so.
It was. It ain't anymore.
Well, no, it would be. Like, we pay right now $2, what is it, $2.20 or something like that for a liter of gas. And I think that works out to like something like $8 or $9 a gallon.
Whoa. Okay.
What do you pay for a gallon?
It keeps going up and up and up, but it's like $5 now, I think, or pretty close. It depends on where you are in the country. Like I know California's like $7 now. In Texas, it's pretty much $5, and we are one of the cheaper states on gas.
Yeah.
And last year we were paying like, how was it, like $1.69? Now it's $5 this year. Yeah, it jumped up quick.
Yeah,
and it keeps going up every single day.
I remember back about, 10 years ago when all the gas stations had to change their signs because they only they were only 2 digits. So when it passed the 99 cents a liter and they had to have 3 digits, we were all like, no, it wasn't enough to fit it all on. The electronic signs? So.
Yeah.
That was discouraging.
They all had to replace those.
God, those signs are expensive too.
The signs are expensive.
Yeah, I bet the gas stations are like, gosh dang it.
Oh, yeah,
they
right.
have to make a mint off of people paying 3 digits instead of 2 digits.
Well, the sad thing too is a big part of our cost in gas is taxes. And that's, I think, predominantly because we have a really liberal government who wants to discourage people from using fossil fuels. And so they keep taxing and taxing and taxing. It's like,
I don't understand that. Like, EV cars are not green.
No, they produce, they're more harmful to the environment than actual gas-powered cars.
They're better in the long term, but the manufacturing process of an EV car is extremely detrimental to the environment.
Yeah.
Because they got to mine the lithium, and most lithium is mined in impoverished countries. So you're poisoning their water supply, their land, not including the dump trucks and stuff they use to mine the lithium or the size of our house. And that requires a lot of diesel.
Yeah.
So you're still producing a lot of pollution to generate something that's supposed to be green efficient.
Well, and air pollution.
And then you got to think of when the battery cells die, then you can't recycle them. You got to throw them away.
Yeah, they go in landfills and then they pollute the soil and the water.
I don't really get how EVs are green. Like in the long term, they're greener because they don't generate carbon emissions. But the manufacturing term.
Yeah, because air pollution is much easier to clean than ground pollution, I mean, if we just stop cutting down all the trees and, plant more trees, it would help balance out the carbon emissions in the atmosphere. I mean, I'm all for green. The only problem with it is the technology's not there yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't shut down your entire economy.
Hey, how's it going? Good to see you guys.
You too, buddy.
Bunch of high school students walking past my house.
Oh.
Yeah.
But you can't cut down your entire economy that primarily runs off of fossil fuels to try and push the electric and green energy. You can't do that. You got to slowly step into it as the technology improves.
Yeah.
You can't cut cold turkey.
Yeah. And then the other thing to keep in mind is how do you generate the electricity that goes into those batteries?
That's the other problem.
Is it a coal-fired plant or is it perhaps a
nuclear or thermal or solar, wind, or hydro?
Well, and then the other question is your grid strong enough to support all those cars? Because a lot of these cars are charging up, like the supercharging stations. I mean, that's 480 volts of electricity.
Wow.
And then your standard home one, I think is like 220.
Or no, not 112.
No, you have to get
You got to get a 220.
Yeah,
Oh, okay. So she had to get a 220, I'm sure.
I think it was 220, 240, but she had to have it wired through the electric company.
Our,
Okay,
our panel is currently 112 or whatever. And I talked to a guy recently because I want to get a heat pump installed to heat our house in the winter just with a heat pump. Apparently that's a better thing to do. And the guy that wants to do it says, well, you should look at your panel and make sure that it can handle, especially if you want to at some point upgrade to an electric furnace as opposed to the oil furnace we're currently using. And so he said, the guy on the phone about the panel said, well, if you ever get an EV car, then you're going to need a bigger panel to charge it. Yeah. So, this is a never ending, maybe profit driven endeavor here. It's like all about the green. It might be about making money.
But yeah, my friend, she just got a Tesla Model 3, and she had to have a whole unit installed.
Oh, wow.
It wasn't that bad. She had to get
they had to have an electrician come out. They had to drill through their wall, like their concrete, the brick wall, and they had to run the wire, I think, up through their attic. And I think I'm not sure if it's wired to their electrical box or if they wired it to the power line.
It would be probably wired to the electrical box. 220 you can run off of home. Just like here in the shop is technically a 112, but we have 220s in it.
But yeah, she got a supercharger installed.
Is it 112 or 110? I thought it was 110 and 220.
I can't remember. It's either 110 or 112. I'm not an electrician, so don't let me lie to you.
I think hers is a 220 that was installed. Yeah. I don't think it's a 480 because those charge your car quick.
Well, that and it would be huge. Hers is a 220.
Yeah. But I just don't get why everyone thinks they're so green when in reality they're not.
Yeah.
Like they're a good step forward. I just don't think the battery technology is there yet.
Yeah.
And then our grid is, Texas's grid went completely down.
Yeah.
This year from the snowstorm we had.
Yeah.
So our grid is
a snowstorm in Texas?
Yeah, we had a snowstorm. What was it last year?
It was last year?
Yeah, we had a massive freeze and it
completely shut down our electrical grid
for about a week almost.
Yeah.
It was like rolling blackouts. We had power for maybe 2 hours and they'd shut it off for 3 hours. And then they'd come back on for maybe an hour. They shut off for 4. Like it was constant. Like it wasn't 1 hour power, 1 hour no power. You didn't know. Like we would get power for maybe 30 minutes to an hour, maybe 2 if you're lucky. And then some people had no power for a long time.
Texas is not built for the winter.
No. What's annoying is they had months in advance to actually
do something about it. They didn't do anything about it
from freeze.
They knew the storm was coming for that long?
Yep. Well, and they didn't prepare for it.
And a lot of in our electrical company, it just showed how scummy they are. A lot of them were starting to charge people crazy amount of money
for electricity.
Because they're like, oh, it's supply and demand. We can't produce enough, so we're going to charge it out the butt for it.
It's like, this is a very rare phenomenon that happens every 100 years. You can't do that to people. That's BS.
Yeah.
Charging $900 for 1 month's electric bill or more, depending on.
And then some of them got shut down by the government because of it.
Because they were way overcharging people for.
Wow.
It was bad. It's like our grid isn't strong enough to support all of this stuff.
Wow. 2 weeks ago, I was interviewing Slow-Mo Randy, and in the middle of a conversation, all of a sudden, I lost my connection to him. I'm like, what's going on? I didn't know what was happening. I thought it was my computer. And then I realized I'm not on the internet anymore. And so I'm like, well, what's going on? So I tried to connect the internet. Well, there were no routers, no routers. And then I realized all the lights were off. And then I realized the power was out. And some people's power was out for 2 weeks because we had this big windstorm come through. It ripped steeples off of churches. It pulled big power, those big power things, pulled them right out of the ground.
Wow.
Yeah, there are getting there, still having trouble with their electricity. That's crazy that can happen so easily. We're so dependent on electricity. It's crazy.
Oh, I know. It's like, if I could afford it, I'd probably be a prepper because it's like,
modern
you don't know what's going to happen, and seeing how fragile the modern world is. I mean, imagine if the entire grid, like completely everything shut down for a week. The chaos it would cause because we're not used. Well, yeah, because your economy runs off of ones and zeros now, so it would completely kill your economy.
Like, that's why I don't understand why our banking system is moving to digital currency, because it's like, what happens if the grid fully goes down, or there's like an EMP or solar flare or something that can happen?
Well, my dad thought it was an attack by the Russians, I think. He said something about when the power first went off, he thought, EMP burst by the Russians.
Which, to be honest, that's like the best way to cripple a country nowadays. Either through
and I've heard that some of these countries have actually wormed their way into the grid. They have little, what do they call them? Like little robots, little viruses waiting to be triggered, and they can just bring things to a halt if they need to. I don't know if that's true or not, but
I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't put it past any world government.
Yeah. Yeah, we're probably doing the same thing to other countries, eh?
Yeah, you never know what's going behind the scenes of your government.
They keep hitting it from us. But then yet again, there's so many insane conspiracy theories out there. You don't know what to believe anymore.
Yeah, and the things that you thought were insane conspiracy theories, now you're finding out they were so insane. They actually were true. Like the lab in Wuhan.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy. What a world. But, as Christians, I guess I don't try to get too worried about it, because I think, all these things are going to happen eventually. Yeah. It was foretold. And we're not really citizens of this world anyway. We're citizens of another world. Yeah. We're just awaiting. We're living in this world trying to be salt and light to the people around us, to be loving and to care for the weak and the hurting and the lost. So I think if the world does kind of come to a halt around us, we can rise up and be a bright light to those who need help,
Well, it's happened, I don't know how many countless times in history. Civilization gets built up, it collapses, builds back up, collapses. Like, most people believe humans were basically a flat line, and then it slowly started going up. Well, the more you go back archaeologically, that's completely wrong, because you got to think, even humans back then thought the exact same way we did.
Yeah.
Even when it was 180,000 years ago. So it's like only 5,000 years ago or 9,000 years ago, we discovered farming and started building cities. No, it's happened many times in history. It's just when you lose that culture and it's thousands of years later, you're not going to have any remnants of that culture. Just like, say, exactly. After the Roman Empire fell, you see how advanced the ancient world was. And then when Rome collapsed, Europe basically went backwards 1,000 years. So it's like, imagine if it's a global catastrophe, say like the Great Flood, which there's a lot of now archaeological evidence that a massive global flood happened around 12,800 years ago. And the sea level was 400 feet lower than what it used to be. So say those civilizations 12,000 years ago are now 400 feet under the ocean waters.
Right.
So there's like
the Romans, you got the Egyptian Empire, the Chinese, what's in the Middle East? What was that big empire?
Oh, dang it. I know it. It's on the tip of my tongue.
Right. There's a great documentary that I would recommend you watch if you're interested in this kind of thing. It talks about the stages, the rise and fall of all the great empires, and how they all follow the same trajectory. There's the discovery side of things, when they're first discovering things and sort of conquering new lands. And at the end, the last phase is basically hedonism, where they go to a stage where the population itself doesn't really understand how their civilization works. They get really preoccupied with things like food and sex, and then they crash. And then there's another rise of a new empire. And it was really interesting documentary. I'll put a link to it in the description for people who are interested.
Oh, yeah, I'd like to watch that. Mesopotamians. That's what it is. The Mesopotamians. Yeah.
That's fascinating. And, have you ever seen those documentaries of South American construction?
The Mesoamerican, like the Aztec and the Incans
and stuff, and the way they've built these rocks where they have these shapes cut out, you can't even slide a credit card or a piece of paper between the rocks. They're so tightly fit, and scientists today don't understand how they do it. Like that's something. What is going on there?
Well, it's also that say you look at the Sphinx, a lot of people think that the Sphinx and Great Pyramid was built by the Egyptians, but there's heavy water damage on the Sphinx, and it hasn't rained like full heavy rain in Egypt for it's either 5,000 or 9,000 years ago. I can't remember. I think it was 9,000 years. But it shows that the Great Pyramid also has salt and salt damage on it as well, which tells us that it was once under ocean for a period of time.
Wow.
And I mean, you got to think about like no other Egyptians have been able to build a pyramid as grand as the Great Pyramid. So if you think about it, you got a culture that moves into where this ancient civilization was. They would copy those structures. They would want to be as great as that ancient civilization. So they would build their civilization around that form of civilization, just like with the Aztecs. There was a civilization that existed around 1,300 years before the Aztec Empire rose. And I can't remember what it was called, but it was basically the first Central American empire. But the Aztecs took a lot of their construction ideas from that ancient culture. That city was an ancient city to them at that time. It was 1,300 years older than their civilization, so they copied it. And I think that's what humans do quite a bit, is they copy older civilizations because they want to experience that time when life was better in the far past.
Well, it's crazy. Right. A lot of modern architecture still can't copy some of the stuff Rome could do.
Yeah.
Like
it's fascinating.
In our most recent history, the Renaissance was sort of a rebirth of the Roman and Greek civilizations, weren't they?
Yeah. They just rediscovered the technologies, the medicines, the arts, and all that they had previously.
Fascinating.
I'm sorry.
I like it that you like to think and talk about this sort of thing. Do you guys have these sorts of conversations together a lot, or do you have a group of guys you get together and chat about with this?
Usually, Tyler and my dad typically get on these discussions. Like we'll get heavily into history or political things or religion. But typically my dad and I, we'll drink a couple beers and then we'll get into it on we'll have those discussions, and it's just fascinating to me to think about these kinds of things and to talk about it. And
yeah. Does your dad smoke a pipe?
No, I'm the only one in my family that smokes a pipe.
What got you onto smoking a pipe?
Probably, honestly, the Lord of the Ring movies. And then I also just always, like you see in old cartoons or old movies, you always had that guy smoking the pipe. I just always liked the sophistication of it, like the look of it, and just it's just always interesting to me.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, it kind of seems like something an intellectual does. And
you look back, so many pipe smokers were big intellectuals. You had Albert Einstein, you had many movie actors who were pipe smokers. You had General, Patton, who smoked his corncob pipes. You had many others, I can't remember all of them, but you have many others who are heavy intellectuals or your professors or things of that nature who all smoke pipes.
Yeah, that's right. C.S. Lewis.
Yeah, C.S. Lewis smoked a pipe.
Of course, Tolkien. Can't forget Tolkien.
Oh, yeah. That's why the Lord of the Rings have so much pipe smoking in it.
Did Freud smoke a pipe?
Did who?
Freud.
I
know he smoked cigars, I think, didn't he?
Don't know if I know who that is.
Freud? Oh, he's the guy that he's like a psychologist. He's famous for his theory on what is it called? I can't remember the words. When things represent something else other than they are, getting back into your memories and trying to understand the significance of those. And
well, like your mental, like dreaming and stuff.
Yeah, he did dreaming type psychology and stuff. He was the guy that would get you to lay on a couch and tell me about your mother. He was German. What do you think of your mother? And your mother, maybe you're secretly attracted to your mother, and that caused you to do this and that, and that was sort of a Freud thing.
Okay.
They did a lot of that kind of.
You ever seen The Sopranos?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Some of them. I didn't watch the whole series.
Oh.
Did that with Tony.
Our brother-in-law is very. He likes a lot of this psychology stuff and how the human mind works and all that kind of stuff. He's really interesting in that stuff.
Yeah, I like that too. Basically, I like anything that is an interesting topic to have a conversation about. I'm terrible at remembering details of stuff, but I love to listen to people who know what they're talking about, stimulate me intellectually. I like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm the same way. I just wish I could remember more of it. But that's why I got to constantly reread it.
Yeah.
Try to memorize it. I wish I could be one of those, like those intellectuals who just read it and know it and then can talk about, just locks in the memory.
Like Jordan Peterson. You ever listen to him?
Oh, yeah. Jordan Peterson's very interesting to watch. He's Canadian, isn't he?
Yep.
Yeah, I really enjoy watching him. Yeah. And then, of course, Ben Shapiro, Michael Knowles, Matt Walsh, all those guys I really enjoy. I'm pretty sure I'm going to get hated on that, but I don't care.
Have you seen his movie, What is a Woman?
I haven't, but I want to. I just got to get the subscription first. I just don't have the money to pay for it right now. I want to watch it.
One of my pipe smoking friends got a subscription just to the Daily Wire, just so he could watch this Matt Walsh movie. Matt Walsh, right? Is that his name?
Yeah, Matt Walsh.
Yeah, and so he shared his membership credentials with me, so I can log in and watch it. I haven't got around to it yet.
Oh, nice! I didn't know you could do that.
You might as well just ask a few friends to chip in together, and you could all buy a membership. He says he's only going to pay for 1 month, just long enough to watch the movie and then let it go.
Yeah, that's probably what I would probably do, but I'd have to see what else they have in there, because apparently they have a lot of other interesting things, and now they're making their own movies. So it might be one of those things I might stay subscribed to it. I'm not sure yet. I'll just have to look more into it.
Yeah, same. Well, we're running out of time again. So what would be one thing you'd want to tell all the pipe smoker guys today as we end things?
I thank all you guys for watching. Enjoy your pipes and blends. God bless, and hope to see you guys again. And thank you, Jason, for inviting me on.
My pleasure.
Thanks. A really nice chat. We definitely got to do it again.
Yeah, I mean, even if we just do it just for the fun of it and not to record it, because you're a really interesting guy. I'd like to chat with you more. You and Tyler.
Oh, yeah. We could talk about a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
That'd be interesting.
I'd like to see Tyler get out from behind his secret wall over there.
I know. I'm trying to get him to.
Tyler, why don't you stick your mug in the picture just to say hi to all the guys before we end things?
No, I'm good.
I tried.
I'll get him out eventually.
You know, what might be kind of cool, Tyler, is if you became a presenter who never showed his face. If it was always like,
just a black face.
I'm Tyler. Have your face in shadow, like those,
just be sitting on a stool, you got a whole black background.
With a bright light behind you, silhouette.
Ember and smoke.
I got my voice distorted.
Deep voice. Cool. Well, it's been great chatting with you guys. Thanks for taking the time.
Oh, yeah, no problem.
God bless you. Have a wonderful afternoon.
You as well.
Cool. Take care, guys.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.